be arriving at Shildon.
If you are leaving the train here, mind the gap between the train and platform edge.
Well, it came about a year ago through some fairly unfortunate circumstances, really. I have a visual impairment, and a year ago my eyesight deteriorated quite significantly, which meant that I was no longer able to drive. And as a result of that, needed to find alternative means of transport for work, for family, social life, personal life. So that led me to using the train to be able to access friends and family for a social life, really.
My name is Lizzie Lovejoy. I am a poet and illustrator, and today I am here because of the Storylines project, which is an amazing project focused around the line from Bishop Auckland over through to Saltburn and the great history around it, but specifically the people who travel on it and the stories that they have. So I will be capturing some of those stories.
My experience of my rail journeys as a result of a life-changing impact in terms of my eyesight, that could have been, you know, and has been incredibly difficult, really challenging to deal with. It can be very bleak. You know, if I allow myself, that can be quite upsetting. But I've got it, I've got to deal with it, I've got to get on. So I have to find the positives and the good things. I have to find those rainbows in the cloudy sky.
I have been a story collector for quite a few years. My main focus has been telling different people's stories, and there is a responsibility to that, there is a care that is needed for that. But I think it comes in almost automatically when you hear how someone else talks about their journey, their experience. You almost match their tone, you match the way that they speak of it, and I love the way that Jill talks about their specific journey. The word connection came up a lot, and so that makes me think of rail connections and finding your connection to the next train, but also connections to people, because that's what Jill was referring to, this lifeline, this train line, and the different way that those words match with each other. There's an automatic link to how the train works and how Jill works. It's like they're already synced up. And so I think there is a lot of power to being able to tell someone's story, but it's more wonderful the fact that you're kind of using their words to do it.
My first journey on the train from Bishop Auckland I was quite anxious, you know, not sure how that was going to go, not sure how I was going to manage as well with my eyesight. But as you can see, it's just an absolutely gorgeous station. It's lovely. And for somebody who's partially sighted and can't really read the signs very well, it's fantastic that it's the end of the line because I can't really go wrong. I get on here and I get off here.
I found Jill's story very familiar. It is something very similar to what I had experienced, to what people I know and love have experienced. The moment when you start needing to use this service and the fear around it. I mean, I have had so many train journeys where I haven't known the stop, I haven't really known where I'm going, and you're filled with that anxiety, but there's an adventure to it. And it's this idea that Jill overcame it so quickly and had so much strength and so much self-power.
Well, it does wander to a little bit about the people's lives who live along the railway and, you know, what are they doing today? What are they up to? What's happening in their lives? If I've got lots on at work, sometimes I can be distracted with my thoughts at work, to the extent that a few weeks ago when I was going to Thornaby to meet my son, I actually didn't realise we were at Thornaby and missed the stop. So had to get off at Middlesbrough, but my son just said, oh, I'll just drive on and meet you. So But again, everybody's helpful, everybody's supportive when those incidents happen. When life throws you a curveball, you've just got to cope with it and you've got to find a way to deal with it. I've drawn on resources and resilience that perhaps hadn't been tested previously.
This is the northern service to Saltburn. The next stop is Shildon.
It's all a matter of perspective. Yes, the objective reality is that this is the way I must move, but I can see how it can improve various aspects of how I travel. Let the past unravel and make a new way to navigate. The plans I create are not stopped, they are enhanced if you take a chance to detach from the responsibility, find the benefits, the possibility, fly on the wall, listening to all the gossip, the news from someone else's shoes. Garden watching, take in the view, finding connection to anyone who is in my eye line, following the train line, I create a storyline, a narrative, a unique background that I give as a window watcher wanderer. It started with rain in a cloudy sky, but soon colour burst from where the birds fly, and there is a rainbow in my eyes. I linger in these places collective, it's all a matter of perspective. I've heard that only two things are certain, taxes and the closing curtain. But I don't believe that. I've found consistency in change. It may sound strange, but that shift is the constant. Our movement is constant. Who am I? Who is Jill? Mine is the mind that would never sit still. It wanders into conversations as I journey to new destinations. Hear the words in this liminal space. In this limbo I found my place, my constant, a connection. Going back and forth in the same direction, on trains filled with history, it flows through me, with each journey joining memory to locality. Detached from responsibility, I trust fall into lifelines of train lines. From fear to strength at an increased pace, I now embrace the change, the chaos, the uncertain, my constant. My power is that I am afraid, but I do it anyway. It's my bravery that saves me. I see the air ambulance from the window. And it's good to know that I can find pieces of me all around, both in the sky and on the ground. In the world that follows the lines, this journey is mine. Let go of the old car driving stress. Now I am the wanderess.
This is the northern service to Bishop Auckland.
And it's really tragic because within 2 years, how many members of the family? 6? My name is Shams Abdul Musa. I'm a campaigner, I'm a community champion, and I'm a sanctuary seeker in the UK. I'm terrified with heights, and I've never basically been traveling on a train in my home country. So I fall in love the very first time. So you asking if I'm romantic? No, I will think that passion, yeah. I have the passion the first time I rode on a train, and then it was basically a love affair starting there. I never looked back. It was both scary and exciting. Scary because whenever you leave your home country, you're going to a place that, first of all, English is not my first language. French is my first language. I was worrying about the language. I was worried about how people will perceive me there and what my life will be there. So all those questions arise. And don't forget that you basically have issues with, your home country, in your home country, which you're wondering, am I going to be welcome or am I not?
We will shortly be arriving at Darlington.
If you are leaving the train here, mind the gap between the train and platform edge.
It all begins when I was moved to Darlington during my sanctuary seeking process. And then I get to do some research about the town that I'm living in. And that turns out to be one of the greatest towns historically and very importantly about the railway history. The Pease family were basically the pioneer in this town. They have worked hard to promote many aspects of our social life. And it goes without saying that, as a Quaker, they believe in social equality and all that. I think people tend to think, when they think about the Pease family, that they're just a railway pioneer. But behind that, there are also, people who campaign for education, for animal rights. And more importantly, the Pease family were campaigning to abolish slavery here in England. So this is basically personally deep for me, as it is for the railway or any other aspects of life that they have been campaigning. These people have created something when it was difficult to invent or to promote things. And we are not celebrating them enough. 200 years. And it's sad to say again, still in my home country, we still don't have a fully working system of railway. But these people have given the world a gift that keep on giving, because this is helping people to not just get to their workplaces, to connect families, to connect new people. It's also helping people in their general lives. We need to make the railway system something much more affordable for everyone. At the 200th anniversary, railway should be right there at the forefront of making public transportation. Or even on anniversaries, have some fun games on the trains. Why not? The 200th anniversary is coming. Let's celebrate that. If people are there, dress up. If families are traveling, entertain the children. Why not? This is something to promote the railway system and the pioneers. Get people to know about Darlington. It's good.
It's been days and it's been years since you have been here and I've been there. It's been days and it's been years, but we could be anywhere. What's important is that it's been too long. So I'm righting that wrong and I'm getting on this train again. Going to see you. So I'm righting that wrong and I'm getting on this train again. I'm going to see you. We talk all the time, we don't talk at all. It's been forever since our last call. I saw you last week. Lately it seems that we barely speak. What's important is that it's been too long, and I'm righting that wrong, and I'm getting on this train again. I'm going to see you, and I'm righting that wrong, and I'm getting on this train again. I'm going to see you. I'm gonna see my brother, my mother, my best friend, my lover, my sister, my father, my son. I'm gonna see everyone. Whatever I'm going to do, what matters the most, I'm going to see you. And I'm right and not wrong, and I'm getting on this train again. And it's been too long, I'm right and not wrong on the train again. Sunshine and rain, whatever the weather, the carriage travels through. Whoa. And all that matters, I'm going to see you.
Your next station is Hindington, but mind how you go as you step down the platform, because it's very low. If you prefer, you could use the front door, where we've had a ramp fastened to the floor. Hindington. I saw an advert in the local paper and to work on the trains, and I thought I'd never seen it advertised before. I assumed it was grandfather rights. I applied. The hardest part was probably the application form. It's about 14 pages.
So at first, I didn't know who it was, and then when I spoke to other passengers on the train, I realised that other people had encountered him. We all called him the rhyming conductor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, sitting comfortably, then I'll begin. Once upon a time there was a little train. It went to the seaside and then came back again. Cornet, Shildon, Newton, Aycliffe too, Hindington, Northwood we do, Darlington, Dinsdale and Allens West, and Eaglescliffe, Thornaby, Middlesbrough next. South Bank, Redcar Central and Redcar East, Lambeck and Mask, and last but not least, Saltburn Station, the end of the line. About 10 to 3 the arrival time. Safety information.
Back in December 2014, we were asked to deliver a season's greeting. It's on the notice board at work. Be an angel this Christmas and be pleasant and nice to your fellow passengers and rail staff alike. Oh, be an angel this Christmas. That's a terrible pun, but if I do it in rhyme, then we could have some fun. So that's how it started. I made up this rhyme about Christmas, being pleasant and nice to your fellow passengers and rail staff alike. But I know my customers, you like family and friends, who don't simply follow these seasonal trends. And it went on, and everybody laughed and cheered and enjoyed it. And then, obviously after December, it wasn't appropriate. But then, what's happened to your rhymes? What's happened to your rhymes? So I made one up for the start and then one for the destination. And then a driver challenged me. I bet you can't make one up for every station on the way to Whitby. Well, I love a challenge. I also know that line fairly well. So yeah, I managed it. Some of the station ones are a little bit generic, where you could use for any station, but then some of them it might involve the local history or something like that.
always have the right money because my tea's going cold and it's simply not funny. If you've got mobile tickets, have them ready on your screens, you wouldn't believe some of the images I've seen.
I don't drive, so I've been travelling the trains for many years, and certainly the Northern Line between Saltburn and all the way up to Durham at one point. And so my first encounter with Graham was as a conductor, and I think what you realise early on is if you travel on the trains regularly, especially really early in the morning, because everyone has a different personality really early in the morning. So I was on the 7:20 train. You work out who the cheerful conductors are, and you work out who the grumpy conductors are. And a cheerful conductor can absolutely make your day and start your day in the right way. So when I'd get on the train, it's like, oh, it's Graham, that's okay. Well, I didn't know his name. I didn't know his name to the beginning of this of this project. And I'd be like, okay, it's him. It's okay. Almost superstitiously, it's like, it's going to be a good day. We started off with a good conductor. And that can be the start of a good day if you've got the right person.
The best thing that works is a smile and all that lot. But if these days we're in the modern world where we, unfortunately, because information's coming through, we're walking down the train looking at our phone, and that makes people think, oh, perhaps he's busy, I won't ask him the question. We've not got to forget that we do need to engage with people. We're not just a number and a figure and an email address, and we are a person. We all have our personalities as well.
Listening to the way that Graham spoke about his work is what's most important to him is making that connection with people. So I want to look at his work and unpack those rhymes, unpack those stories, and think about who that will speak to, how that connects to different people on their different journeys. And I've been that passenger on the other end of a poem. I've been that passenger who's had a rubbish day. I've been the passenger who's just thought, oh my goodness, what's wrong with people? And then listened to the poem and thought, oh my goodness, yeah, there's kindness. Somebody's thinking about human connections. So that's going to be my process. It's going to be looking at the work, looking at the poems, and thinking about how to unpick those human connections and tell those stories behind the stories. One thing that I notice about travelling on the trains is the kindness of strangers, the generosity of people, and that comes from a certain magic that doesn't happen on any other form of transport. I mean, my dad was a fisherman, so I know a bit about boats, I've been on buses, but there is a magic on trains. I don't know whether it's a combination of the scenery or people feeling relaxed, but whatever happens, it's that magic of the train journey, of that human connection, that space that I want to capture.
Peak time, Northern Line doors crack, elbows out, no eye contact. Train zombie shuffle on, get the weight off our backs. Welcome on track. Welcome? This conductor, what's he playing at? Welcome. We zone out, detach, we sway together separate, only know each other by the colour of our coats. We come, dripping from the first dark rain of the year, slipping down our backs, sparking stars on glass. We don't chat. Safety information, front and back. His rhyming can't break here. What's safe here? We know it all. Take Lady Blah Blah, talks too loudly on personal calls. We know all her work too. Know she likes a sesh to take the edge off on a Friday. Beep, beep, boop. Here she goes. I'm too old for presents. I want to trip out with the girls. Want to walk on the beach, a bite to eat. I mean, only yesterday we were at school. Where'd it go? We want to know. We want to go. Keep your belongings always in view. We lose our longings in the bad day blues. Ah, Chatterbox, the lad who never speaks, gets on at Shildon, shoves in next to Lady Blah Blah. She hangs up. He's a train spotter, thinks we don't see. You don't want anything missing, do you? Gets his little book out at Thornaby Depot, scratching the numbers of the stock. We see the missing kid in him, see him dreaming in steam. If you see out suspicious, have a word in my ear. Chatterbox hasn't seen Lady Blah Blah for a while. She nudges him at Dinsdale. He thinks she doesn't know him, but she wants a word in his ear. Look, she says, see that sunset burning orange and red? His eyes, grazed by a smile, covers a cry with a cough. Your safety is important, that's why we're here. Tapman shifts away from the coffer. Last thing he needs is a cold. He wants to be fit for the match. 4th generation Borough supporter, tattoos on his arms and chest, but it's Keats spooling out from under his cuff. Life is but a day, a fragile dewdrop on its perilous way. Birkin Fringe has read it 100 times, like she reads the rain trails on the train window. She thinks he doesn't know her, but he does. He's seen the Robin photo on her phone. Birkin Fringe doesn't believe in ghosts, but since her husband passed, there's been a robin in the garden. And every time she gets the train, she sees the quiet girl again on her way to London. The smell of plush velvet and the rose bay willow herb waving, just like in the poem. And take all your belongings, you really must. We're the train zombies on the peak time apocalypse. We lose all our longings in the clack between the tracks. We're the railway ghosts, we haunt ourselves back. We don't know any more about one another other than our stops. We have enough lost property gathering dust. We think we don't know one another, but we do. We fragile dewdrops on this perilous train. And these crazy, unexpected couplets gather us dust to dust, spark a smile that passes from seat to seat, lighting us up, like the night lights in the top windows in the dark yards lining the tracks. And we call him the rhyming conductor. And we think he doesn't know us, but he does. On days like these, when the rain and the hurts rust us, he makes us less lonely. He makes us a crowd. And we're so relieved it's him and not the grumpy dude. And he can't ever know our verses, but he knows how we rhyme.
We will shortly be arriving at Hyington.
Yeah, that must have been it. But yeah, so now I get the train.
My name is Margaret Taylor. My maiden name was Watson, and I was born in the next street over in the bungalow. My grandfather worked on the railways, and his son, my uncle, he also worked at North Road shops with the engines. And I've travelled on the railways all my life, you know.
Because I don't live far from the railway line, I've got more kind of connection with the space, with that area of land, and I just feel like it's sort of part of, you know, my family and how I've grown up. And so yes, I think it is important, yeah.
After my father died, he was only 41 when he died, and my mother and I moved sort of round opposite, round the corner, as to say, and we lived with my grandparents. We all moved in together. I had worked for 11 years at Binns. I was looking for something different. I could see if I didn't leave there, I would spend my whole life working there, and I wouldn't meet anybody, you know. I wouldn't have been married, I don't think.
I am rolling.
The stories are the things that connect us, so like it's the human encounters. Even when we've been talking, you know, it's, you know, the same curiosities we have, or the same like interests are there, aren't they, you know, in how we process the world and understand it.
I was born in the footsteps of a railway family. My grandma was a station clerk till 1963.
I think it was advertised in the paper, and my grandfather saw it, and he said, you know, he told me about it. He said, you want to apply for it because they're good jobs on the railway, well paid, and there was more money than I was getting at Binns. And I needed, you know, more money to help my mother, a widow. So I applied for it, got the job, and then they sent me to Heinton. Chap came in one day, I think it was on a Saturday when everybody had gone, and he wanted to send this goat to Wales. And I'd never sent any livestock at all, and I didn't quite know what to do. So I looked it up and I had to wait. You charge by weight apparently, so we had a big, you know, weighing scales outside on the platform, and managed to get this goat onto the scales. Tied a label round its neck, and we put it on the train, and I don't know if it got there or not.
Sometimes I've heard people talking about writing a song a little bit like creating a piece of artwork or a carving. It's actually about chipping away at the elephant or whatever it might be underneath the carving. And so actually it's what you don't say that lets the little bit you say breathe. And so it might just be one particular story within this that speaks to all those aspects. It's really difficult sometimes to find like what the story is, and too much information or too much story loses the audience. You've got to find something, some way of drawing in.
Well, one morning I went into work at early shift to, you know, I went into the office, and there was this strange man doing the job that I'd gone to do. And it was, I called him Boris, and he'd taken the job for the summer. He'd come off the relief job, and he was at Heinton for the whole summer. For settling. He came from Whitley Weir, up Weardale. And so I didn't really speak to him. I just went through him into the office and sat down and wondered what was happening. Because I hadn't had any warning that somebody was coming, you know. And he was a quiet man as well, wasn't he, David? Yes. Yes. Somebody said to him, when are you going to ask Margaret out? And he sort of, he was a bit embarrassed and I was a bit embarrassed, so everybody went out of the office and left us alone, apart from one person. And he asked me to go out with him, and I said yes, and so we went to the, I think we went to the cinema. And we went on from there, yeah. We were married February '63. There's snow on the ground. No, it wasn't like brief encounter at all.
It's one of those things that you don't really think about asking, do you, till maybe 10 years ago or something? I remember being aware that, you know, that Grandma had worked on the railways and things like that. It's alright to have a family tree, isn't it? But it's nice to know a few stories about people.
He's always asking me questions about,
yeah.
You know, what I did when I was young. And
yes, yeah.
Yes. I often wish that I'd asked my grandparents more questions. You know, there's things I would like to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was born in the footsteps of a railway family. My grandma was a station clerk till 1963. Her father was a joiner and she married a station man. I grew up with the stories of where it all began. And Grandma, she's in her 90s now, and she recalls with ease working for the railways in the twilight years of steam. The station was a busy place, seeing parcels on their way. Whenever we'd sit and natter, I'd always hear her say that you can still see the sleepers and the stones of the platform from the very first station on the very first line. If the stones could tell stories, I wonder what they'd say. The life they would capture of a sacred railway. Tell us another story like the one about the goat that turned up at the office, ready to be post. The time you let the train slip out of your sight, and you head over the crossing and you had quite a fright. The firemen and the guards would often hang around, for the station has its fame, for it's known around this town that you can still see the sleepers and the stones of the platform from the very first station on the very first line. You can plot it on a family tree and write biographies, but nothing comes as close as listening to you speak. As winter soon approached, she feared another freeze, for the year before was frightening, with ice upon the trees. Not long after she quit, the station closed for good. Beaching and the cuts I've never understood, and I still use the line every day I go to work. And when we call by Hyington, I smile as I recall that you can still see the sleepers and the stones of the platform from the very first station on the very first line. And And though it feels forgotten and its relevance ignored, can tell you that its legacy will one day be restored, and you can still see the sleepers and the stones of the platform from the very first station on the very first public passenger railway line.